Hello, book lovers. Welcome back to Beth's Naughty Reads. I'm Beth Lamontagne, and today I'm going to get a little naughty talking about Lindsay Straube's A Kiss of the Basilisk. Before I jump into the book, I want to give my friendly reminder to please go out and follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. You can find me under Beth's Naughty Reads. Also, please take a moment to thumb up this episode. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel so that you get notified of when new episodes are released. Also, I'm asking for the favor of a share. Still trying to get 100 new subscribers. I've gone up. I'm about a quarter of the way there. Better than I got quite a few last week. So thank you for those that subscribed. Please share the channel and ask friends and family to help a sister out. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, please check out episode 24 so you get a better understanding of what is going on. So Lindsay Straube, this girl, brand new author. Kiss of the Basilisk is her debut novel. I'm going to throw it out there. I'm probably going to start saying basilisk wrong at some point, so just bear with me. Lindsay describes herself as a silly, goofy girl who loves chocolate chip cookies. Who doesn't? And never turns down a tiki so-so. For those of you that don't know, I didn't know, so I had to look up what a tiki so-so is. It's an exotic rum-based cocktail in the tiki culture, while so-so refers to the bar or the cocktail's specific name. So now you know what it is. You learned something today. So let's go ahead and get into the book. So Kiss is part of the Split or Swallow series, which contains 3 books. Kiss of the Basilisk is book 1. I was looking for something to read, and this is kind of what drew me to it. Somebody said a quote that says, "It's like The Bachelor. If the contestants were training with serpents, the prince had a death wish, and everyone forgot how clothes work." Color me intrigued. I just knew I had to read the book, so I got it, grabbed it, and started reading. Also, initially, the book was titled Split and Swallow before the title change, so you may have seen it listed like that somewhere before. Um, True story. Every time I saw that title, I kept reading Spit, or Swallow. And if that doesn't give you dirty thoughts, this book, nothing will. I mean, I still, every time when I have to think about saying split and not spit. Okay, with that note, let's get into the characters in the book. So the main female character is Temperance Varys. Her friends and family call her Tem. Tem is a naive 20-year-old woman who is inexperienced and looking for meaning or validation in her life. We learn Tem has never been kissed, but lives in a world where seduction and control are power. So this is a problem for her. She has been belittled by her community her whole life, and so she's begun to believe what they say and believe she has little to offer anyone. I did like that she does definitely have a stubborn side, and as she grows more confident and learns more about herself and the power she has within her, you start to see that character growth happen, and it's really cool to see the change in her. The Kiss of the Basilisk has 2 main male characters. So the first one, I'm saying it wrong. My husband's shaking his head no over there. The first one, sorry, Lindsay. The first one is Caspian, the Serpent King. Caspian is a dark, powerful shifter. He embodies dangerous control, has a quiet command and power, so he doesn't need to raise his voice to be feared or obeyed. He just has to speak and people listen. Caspian is paired with Tem for her training for the chance to wed the prince and become the next queen. The second one is Prince Thelonious, and he goes by Leo, thank goodness. Leo is the exact opposite of Caspian. He is charming and raised to embody the perfect prince. He's had his heart broken previously, and so he hides his vulnerability under his cocky confidence and royal composure. At the beginning of the book, that drives Tem absolutely mad. She just thinks he's mean, and they don't get along very well at the beginning. So when the story opens, we discover that all the females born in the same year as the prince in the kingdom are eligible to compete to marry the prince. So we have 14 girls who are competing to be the next queen. While Tem feels she's too inexperienced and lonely to win the prince's favor, she joins anyways in the hopes to give her mother a better life. So Tem's mom is a single mom. Tem never met her parents. Her mom is a hardworking chicken farmer. And as Tem feels that she is given everything, so that Tem could have her best life. Her thought is if she wins, she can give her mother a better life. So that's kind of her drive for the reason to join this. The females who decide to compete get a seduction coach to learn how to satisfy the prince and win the competition. In comes the basilisks, and the introduction of Tem and Caspian. While Caspian teaches Tem the ways of the sexy, their relationship begins to evolve immediately. They both try very hard to like not pay attention to their feelings. But after a few training session, they're hooked. She finds it difficult. Like she's trying on for the reason of she really wants to win. If she wins, she's going to marry the prince. So what's the point of starting something with somebody else? A few training sessions, Tim has her first opportunity to meet Prince Leo. While she knows she has feeling for Caspian, she finds herself also drawn to Leo immediately. As these three navigate their relationships, the men begin to understand that listen, if we're going to be with Tim, we're going to need to share. So we're going to need to be friends. They learn that all is not as it appears as the story goes. So not only is it not going for the basilisks, but also the humans. And so the three of them must learn to work together, not only for their love and their relationship, but to salvage their kingdom as well. So I have a couple excerpts. I have three today because we have three characters, and I felt like introducing you a little bit to all three was important. They're a little long, so bear with me, but I think it gives you great insight into the book. So Tim meets Caspian for her very first time, and she is surprised. She says he wasn't at all what she had pictured. Somehow, in her imagination, he never had a face. Tim's version of the basilisk was always mysterious, a featureless creature with nothing distinguishable about it, a blank canvas that couldn't be identified as anything remotely close to human. But the real thing was completely different. The real thing looked like the most searingly attractive man Tem had ever seen. He was an amalgamation of every feature she ever found beautiful. So much so that Tem wondered briefly whether it was on purpose. Basilisks were known for their powers of seduction, after all. Had he tailored himself to look like this, knowing it would be appealing to her? So immediately she thinks he's hot. So I have the next one. So this is her very first lesson. And this is important because literally this is their very first lesson. And yes, we know he's supposed to show her the ways of the sexy, but in their very first session, she experienced what it was like to influence a man. Caspian's arousal was undeniable. He grew harder the longer he looked at her, and she felt a surge of pride at being the one who caused it, along with an intense curiosity she could barely suppress. She wanted to touch him, to feel the effect she had on his body. She wanted to do what Vera had bragged about doing, take him in her hands and stroke him until he was finished. The thought turned her on so much that her fingers slipped into her wetness. The motion felt good, and without thinking, she did it again right in front of Caspian's gaze. She thought he might reprimand her, but he didn't. Instead, she heard a low hiss and realized it was coming from him. The hiss echoed throughout the cave, bouncing along the walls and surrounding them with its vibration. Tim wasn't sure, excuse me, Tim wasn't sure whether she should be scared of the sound. Do you approve of me? She asked. The hiss stopped immediately. Caspian's eyes snapped to hers. My approval is irrelevant, he said sharply. It is the prince's approval you should seek. So again, they're beginning to enjoy themselves, but Caspian is already trying to remind her he is not who she is there for. So it's not his approval she needs. Lastly, this is Tem's first encounter with Prince Leo. So how's it going so far? Leo asked. How's what going so far? You know, the training or whatever it's called these days. A blush rose on her cheeks. Was he really asking her about her sessions with Caspian? The process was hardly a secret. Everyone in the village knew this was the proper way for a prince to choose a wife, but it was a sensitive subject for Tem. She was already embarrassed by her inexperience. She had no desire to discuss it with the very person she might be sleeping with in a matter of weeks. I don't believe that's any of your concern, she said quietly. His mouth twitched. On the contrary, I believe I'm the only person it concerns. Her blush deepened and she hated it. Tem didn't like the way the prince was making her feel. It was as if he enjoyed her discomfort. Sex is best with someone who knows what they're doing, wouldn't you agree? Tem didn't answer. She hadn't had sex yet with anyone. Who knew what they were doing anyways? So at her silence, Leo smirked widen. Then again, experience something first time can be rewarding if that's your situation. Tem felt the whiskey burning in her stomach and with it her anger. She hated the way Leo was speaking to her. So that there was more that was really good to that paragraph, but I felt like that's enough for you for now. So let's get into a couple reviews I pulled. Let's see. Sorry. So the first one is from Nikki. She says, "Give me more," and she gave it 4 stars. She said, "I'm devastated. The next one doesn't come out till November, and I'm absolutely gutted." And she wrote this August 9th of 25. There was so much going on in this book. It was a genuinely wild ride. From the contest, plot twist, and spice scenes, it was magical. Only took a few days to finish, but I thoroughly enjoyed the time I had with these characters. I cannot wait to see what happens in book 2. I have theories, but mostly I'm just going to miss them when I close the book. Even Leo. Well, maybe especially Leo. The next one comes from Naked Genius, and they gave it 5 stars. The Kiss of the Basilisk has it all. Spice, plot, secrets, betrayal, love, family, magic, and more. She said, "I absolutely love this book. This book is completely unhinged. A basilisk snake shifter gives spice seduction lessons to a naive girl from a farm who is in competition for the hand of the prince as of century-old truce between the humans and the basilisks. Things, of course, get complicated. Emotions run amok. Long-buried secret comes to light. Spicy rituals take place, which I didn't even give you all insight into. Whew. Families are reunited and torn apart. This book has it all. Forget slow burn. This is super spicy, fast burn that heats up in the first few chapters and doesn't quit. And unlike a lot of fast burns, the plot does not take a back seat. Both plots and spice are intertwined and front and center. It will leave you screaming and begging for more. I immediately pre-ordered book 2 the second I finished this one." All right, let's see. And the last one, Steph, she said, unexpectedly addictive. The best smutty romance I've read all year. I did not expect to be so invested in this book. 5 out of 5. If you start, you won't stop. Spicy AF, brilliantly written. Ending was perfect. This book has no right to be this good. I need the next one like now. Hashtag Serpent Summer. So just everybody kind of felt the same way about the book. It is definitely spicy. Let me give you kind of my reviews and ratings. So spice rating, it's for sure 5 hot, sexy jalapenos. This story hits the heat factor in chapter 2, you guys. I mean, literally, what I read you was in chapter 2, and it just keeps getting hotter and hotter from there. The good news is that the plot doesn't suffer. Those ladies were right. Because of all the sex, their storyline still kept me coming back for more, as well as the sex did too. Because of that, I did give the story a 5-star rating. The start of the book has you thinking one thing is going to happen, and then the drama from there just keeps growing and growing and twists and turns, and things just start coming out of the woodwork that you had no idea or insight was going to happen. You really get to see the characters grow as the relationship for all 3 grows. None of the characters at the beginning of the book are who they really are and or who they present to the public. So it was good to kind of see how that changed. Highly recommend reading. It does end on a cliff note, or a cliffhanger, I should say. But book 2 comes out next week, so it's a perfect time to pick this book up and read it before the second one comes out. Also, take a moment and check out Lindsay's social media account. You can find her on Instagram as Oxford Lemon. She also has a website, oxfordlemon.com. Go out and give her a follow, as well as keep up on the date of her new book releases. Also, lastly, if you guys are looking for something to do, take a moment to check out The Bar is Open with Beth and Greg. It's a fun show I do with my husband. We get obnoxious, we get silly, but we can always promise you guys a damn good time. So if you have the time, check it out. Until then, love you guys and see you next week.